Hi, everybody. I hope you are hope you are doing well today. I forgot to put my silly bird up. Let's see how if he can control himself while I'm talking. All right. So I'm Jules Thought, and that's Buried Behind Bars. And today is March the 2nd, 2022. And he has a lot to say about true crime, don't you, Barry? Yeah? So, Barry, today I'm going to talk about Orson and Orrin West, and I'm going to make some parallels between Trezell and good old Barry Morphew. What do you think about that? You think it's a good idea? Okay, well then that's what we'll do. All right, I tell you what. Let me play my sunflowers one more time. In as a show of support to the Ukraine. And I'm going to put this little bird in his perch so that he will be able to be quiet. Okay. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. We are ready to roll, though. Barry is happy in his perch. And I turned the television on, the YouTube channel that has all the singing bougies. And he's very happy talking to his friends. Okay. Now then. So we got an arrest, right? And it's been covered many channels on the YouTube true crime uh, group. Many people are talking about it. I don't think anybody's surprised. I think maybe the surprise is that it took so long, right? Originally, when this all started about 10 months or so ago, um, I made the comment that I felt like that something had happened to the kids before they moved to California City. And that perhaps the move was part of the cover up of where did Orson and Orrin go? Where did they end up? So I followed the case. I kind of made this decision to be careful about making these kind of um, analysis kind of videos. No, I don't mean an analysis of the people, but looking at body language and such. And I had said, that I was going to avoid doing that until there was at least an arrest, right? So at this point now, we have an arrest. Two, actually, they arrested both Trezell and Jacquie West, and their charges are second degree murder. Let me see what is, I can share this. Hold on. So this is the arrest warrant. It's the arrest warrant for Jacquie. And they were arrested or booked in, on March 1st at 8:00 p.m. in Bakersfield. Notice that this was in Bakersfield. And they were given no bail, and they should have a hearing tomorrow morning. And then it just gives, what the hearing will be. The charges are, of course, this is in California, so the charges are one false report of an emergency. This is when they made the call to the police and said, "Help us, our babies are missing." Clearly, the cops think they were lying. Then there were 2 counts, one for Orson, one for Orrin, willful cruelty to a child. And then it's got new, and I think that's supposed to be effective 4/12. So was there some kind of an assault that happened on like April the 12th, or is this supposed to be 2012? I don't know. I don't know why it would be 2012, because then that would mean 10 years ago, or nearly 10 years ago. No, I think this should be like 4/12 being April 12th, but we'll find out tomorrow what it is. And then the murder charge is second degree. And when we switch over to Trezell, he's exactly a duplicate of everything that was in hers. She was actually booked first at 8:06, and he was booked 12 minutes later. So they obviously were picked up together, right, at the same time. Okay, so he has exactly the same charges. It's a duplicate. They're treating them equally. Now, in California, and I'm sure Scott Rice will talk about this if he hasn't already. I haven't really looked at anything but the Ukrainian war in the past couple of days. But second-degree murder in California is the unlawful killing of a human being that is done without deliberation or premeditation, but with malice aforethought. And it is punishable by 15 years to life, and that would be in a state prison. Under California's murder laws, they give you basically 5 examples when a second-degree murder charge would be appropriate. Those 5 examples, the first one would be firing a gun into a crowded room and you end up killing someone, but the shooter wasn't shooting into the room with the intent to kill. It's kind of a crazy example, isn't it? Because how could you fire into a room without at least having awareness that you may kill somebody? Second example, multiple DUIs on your record, but the person drunk drives anyway, and then there's an accident where someone dies. And we've seen some pretty high profile prosecutions come out of California. One was this really wealthy, rich millionaire, and I mean, he killed somebody, then he left his car, walked away, then came back. It was kind of crazy. I'll look up his name. It's kind of interesting. Third one is that a person would viciously punch a smaller or inebriated person where the punch causes a fatal head injury and the person dies. That kind of makes my blood run cold, right? That gives me the impression that that's where they came up with second degree murder. That whatever took place with Orson and Orrin, that perhaps it was a battery type situation. The fourth example, shoot a gun at another person with no intent to kill, but the person dies anyway. And then fifth would be if it's a felony murder, and a felony murder would be if there's another crime being committed at the same time. Find it very interesting that you have both boys gone Both boys have charges for second-degree murder, or they're not holding the charges, but the charges resulting from their disappearance is second-degree murder. My question would be, why didn't they go for felony murder? If they killed one and then the other as a result of what was taking place, wouldn't that automatically move it to felony murder? I don't know. Anyway, in California, the crime of second-degree murder is 15 years to life. There are some special conditions. I'm there are some special conditions that could change it to first degree or whatnot, and it's all covered under Penal Code 189 PC. What are some, I don't want to talk about that. I'm reading obviously a law website. Prosecutor, okay, in second degree murder, the prosecutor does not have to prove that the defendants acted with deliberation or premeditation. And I guess that's why they chose they chose to charge second degree is because of what their evidence is, what they have available for their charges, I suppose. Now, the aggravating factors that can increase the sentence for second degree murder in California is if the defendant has a prior murder conviction, then the punishment for second degree murder is a life term in prison, no possibility of parole. And then if the murder victim is a police officer, then the sentencing changes. Instead of 15 to life, it turns into 25 years to life. And then if it was a police officer and the defendant was intent to kill the police officer or use great bodily harm, then it changes to life in prison, no possibility of parole. So, you know, they even have in California, it's so weird to me. They even have a defendant commits an act that causes the death of another person or fetus. I thought that was so interesting, but anyway. So, once a prosecutor proves that a defendant committed murder, then Penal Code 189A PC says that a person commits first degree murder if the party kills someone by using a specific deadly weapon. I'm going to assume that's a bomb. If they are lying in wait, meaning it's an ambush. If they inflict torture, if there is willful and premeditated killing, or if they're committing a felony murder, directly killing someone while committing a dangerous felony. So second degree murder is a felony. So I don't understand why they didn't go for murder one, because there were two boys, right? But I'm not an attorney. It's not my job to know these things. But Scott Rice is an attorney, and it is his job to know. So he'll probably talk more about that. Now then, what I do, however, is I do analyze people, right? Or I understand people. And I want to look at the original interview by Trezell and Jacquie West, just coming a day after the boys were reported as missing. They had been living in their new home for 3 months, and they were in Bakersfield before that in a kind of a shady type situation, apartments. His mother was close by. There were a ton of foster kids. It was a very confusing situation before they made that move. So there are a lot of people that think that something happened to the two boys in Bakersfield. that it didn't happen in the new house. All right. So I'm going to go through this, not all the way through, but something specific. I'm going to go through the Trezell and Jacquie West story or interview, and then I'm going to jump over to Candace Wells, because there is a parallel here between these two interviews, where it was Candace and Don Wells in the disappearance of Summer Wells, and then this television interview with Trezell and Jacquie in the disappearance of Orrin and Orsin. Okay, so let's listen. Put a 1 in the chat when it starts playing, and then that way I know that you can. That way I know that you can hear the audio. Had something happen last week where it was playing, and for some reason it wasn't. You couldn't hear it. All right, here we go. Okay. He's really overly helpful and accommodating, right? Where's the panic? That was like the initial thing when all this was first going on, and I was watching this. I was like, where's the panic? Um, when we lose our kids, we freak out, right? That fight or flight response kicks in, and we are either frantically looking in every nook and cranny, screaming our heads off, calling anyone that might even remotely have an idea, and then the anger will set in. I have seen lots of parents very, very angry. And in fact, the baby and the mother that went missing from Austin a couple of years ago, and everybody was just certain that the husband was responsible. And it did turn out that the woman's best friend killed her, took the newborn baby to a house here in Houston, and the whole time that she was being creepy and having these delusions, taking care of this child, her dead best friend in her car in the backyard, the husband was being questioned unmercifully in Austin. And between the cops and the multiple interviews, he spent countless hours being interviewed. And then they pushed him to do interviews on television. And there's actually one that came up where we could see him visibly angry, lashing out. He walked away from the interview, refused to talk. Everybody took that as, oh, that means he's guilty. I said it means he's under duress. And if he's missing her, he's freaked out because that's his baby. Hold on a minute. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I've got a news station that is talking. Okay, I've got it quiet now. And there were reports that were coming out of the police station during that week, where they could hear the husband screaming at the police, who were there to try to arrest him for the murder or disappearance of his newborn baby and his wife. And they could, people that were in the courthouse and the sheriff's department, they could hear him screaming at the cops. And he was screaming things like, I've done everything you guys told me to do. I've answered every question. I've taken your polygraphs. Go find them. What's wrong with you? Why are you here with me? Go find them. Let me go find them. What are you doing? So there were a lot of people that said that didn't look good, that looked like guilt, and I thought to myself, no, that doesn't look like guilt. That looks like what you would expect as a loving and protective father or husband, that your baby's gone and people are just focused wanting to say it's your fault, and you know damn well that you didn't do it, and nobody's trying to find your child and your wife. that's anger, and it's, righteous indignation. It's understandable. People get that reaction, that you would fight to protect your own, right? And in the case he found himself in, they didn't seem to be looking at other people. They seemed only to be looking at him. Now, it turns out that was absolutely not true. The cops did a great job, and through the help of some, local people, they ended up finding the baby, and, sadly, the mother died. Um, so so this being 24 hours, less than 24 hours. I mean, they said they reported the boys missing at about, sundown, when it's starting to get dark. And now here they are in the middle of the day. It's less than 24 hours. Do they look like what I'm describing? Do they look frantic? Do they look like they're wanting to get away, that they don't have the patience to deal with the news interference? They don't have the patience to deal with the biological family and neighbors that are there? No, they don't. They're just calm. They're just it's the strangest thing to watch. Now, Jacqueline, I think, is really stressed out. And that's why we're getting the rocking back and forth. That is absolutely 100% self soothing. It doesn't have anything to do with guilt or innocence. It has to do with this person is having such an extreme reaction. They're in so much anxious distress that they're looking for an outlet to get that energy out. Anxiety is another word for energy. And so she's got so much pent up energy inside of her from this whole fight or flight response. And she's just trying to hold it together, measure, get rid of some of it as much as she can. Trezell doesn't move his hands from under his armpits. Speaking of holding it together, right? He is trying to be very understanding, non-offensive, calm, rational. He doesn't want anybody to say, "Oh, look, his emotions are bigger than they should be," blah, blah, blah. But in fact, if ever there was a situation that your emotions should be enormous, that you should be in distress, it's definitely when one of your children go missing. And if two of them go missing, I would expect lots of big emotion, one way or the other, right? All right. So he says, I want to go in the houses. The boys are rambunctious, and just to be on the safe side, let's go look. Okay. That's interesting. I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. So he goes on with this whole trying not to offend anyone. He's aware of this throughout this interview, of managing his appearance to others. He seems to be really, really controlling how others might view him. And that is very bizarre in a situation where you've got two missing kids. In a situation where you have two missing kids, you're in survival mode, right? You're in survival mode. You are a rabid parent looking to protect your offspring, your children. And that is not what he's doing. He is engaging in heavy impression management. Why? That's like a politician that gets caught messing around, with a 15-year-old, and rather than, acknowledging, hey, this looks really bad, it's a nightmare, they're more interested in, well, why would you do that? I have given so much money to such and such. It's impression management. The way you see me, look at me as a good guy. And that is completely incongruent out of out of step with the situation that they're in. Okay. Now, oh, what happened to my share? Hold on. I'm going to have to redo the share because it went away. All right. Oh, did y'all not see? Screen is blacked out. That's still Rena saying that. Rena's the only one saying that. Cinnamon Hot Hot. Can you see and hear the screen? There's a pic. Okay, but it was previously. Could you hear me talking? It was blacked out. I see a pic and I can hear you. Did y'all hear the interview with Trezell? You could hear me. Okay, thank you, Powder. Okay, so remember the interview with Trezell, he says we want to look in the houses. The boys are rambunctious. The boys are rambunctious. We just want to look in the houses just to be on the safe side. Okay? All right. So now let's listen to Don Wells.
Houses, and then if they're not willing,
I didn't go far enough back. Sorry about that.
neighbors could search neighbors' houses, and then if they're not willing, get a search warrant or something. But there's just no way you can search every single house, in the eastern United States or whatever.
So what is that about, people? What do you think? What is the issue between Don Wells saying, "Hey, let's go and search houses"? See, their kids have been gone less than 24 hours. And he's like, oh, excuse me. What? Oh, let me, what? Oh, go ahead. Everything's fine. No, absolutely not. When your kids are missing or a loved one is missing, your maid or your parents or whatever, you're frantic. You don't care if you offend someone. Okay. Now, so we have Trezell saying, hey, I want to go in the houses. I want to look in the houses. You have Don Wells saying, I want to go in the houses. Why can't we go in the houses? Why are they saying that? And believe it or not, that is something that many guilty people say in the case of missing children. Why do they do that? Yeah, he did, Rena, 100%. He did pick the wrong couple to emulate. So what is happening in with this when they bring up, hey, we should be able to go look in the houses. Now they both say, both the Wells and the West, they both say, my kids would never wander away. No way in hell. And you guys don't really need me to replay Dawn and Candace Wells saying, no, she'd never leave. She's afraid of lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Right? You you don't, because you've heard it so much ad nauseum, right? It's just been over and over. But the fact of the matter is that both this couple, Dawn and Candace Wells, immediately jump to the unthinkable. And the unthinkable, the thing that can drive parents insane, is the idea that someone is hurting their child. They can't manage it. The idea is too horrifying. I've seen parents that would voice with a great deal of guilt that they would almost wish their child, they would rather than be dead than to know that they were being harmed every day. And then, of course, they feel horrible and they feel guilty for that kind of thought. And you're sitting there going, no, you don't feel guilty. I get that. We don't want to see our children or any other person suffering, but especially our kids, right? So there's both of these couples are invested in, they have an awareness that something looks strange, and they're immediately trying to control the narrative by saying, no way in hell did my kid walk away. No way. When any innocent parent would not be able to fall asleep because they would be driven to search. You remember Andy Mormon? He flew across the United States of America to walk up and down the mountains of Colorado in search of his sister, and that was his adult sister. When you legitimately lose someone that is very dear to you, you will work and search to exhaustion in every nook and cranny before you'll ever allow yourself to contemplate, someone is hurting my baby. It's a more comforting thought to know that your child is somewhere and all you got to do is search hard enough and you'll find them, as opposed to someone else has my child. That's a horrifying thought for parent, because now you're out of control. There's nowhere to look. The world is too big. And why would somebody take a small child that doesn't belong to them? And we can only come up with these nefarious, evil reasons, right? So the fact that Jacqueline and Trezell immediately jumped to, oh, we got to look in other houses. I know someone got my kids. I said the same thing about Dawn and Candace Wells. The minute they start saying, no, she didn't walk away. No way in hell did she walk away. She did not get lost out in the woods. She did not tumble down a hill and hit her head. No, 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 no. Someone took her, period. Someone's got her locked in a dungeon. And I hope she gets left outside to play with kitties. And I thought, no, that is not right. That is not comfortable for a parent to immediately go to abduction, because it's such a nightmare possibility, right? Now then, let's go ahead and finish listening to old Trezell. Hold on a minute, let me find him. Okay, here we go. Boom. Mic drop right there. Why do I say that is a mic drop? Well, because it when you're in shock in the immediate acute phase of this disappearance, the fight or flight is driving you like you're a machine, right? You're not making good decisions. You're operating off of survival. And the survival is I got to find my kid. And so you're just you revisit places that you may have been with the kid at some point. You go back and look at places that were you would expect the child to look. Then you begin to look in places that seem absolutely absurd and ridiculous to look. But what you don't go to is yeah. No, I know I look guilty, but I'm not. Trust me. But what you're saying is logical. I get that. Now, who else do we know that said that? Testing. I have sound. If you don't hear me, it's because you're having a problem. I have sound. Okay. So, you could not hear the interview. I am having some real trouble this morning. Let me I'm going to stop sharing it. Hold on. I'm going to refresh the sharing. I think when I switch tabs like I'm doing now, which is something new, I think when I switch the tab like that, instead of going back to the original StreamYard, I think you lose sound at that point. So let's see if that helps. Put a 1 if you can hear this.
I want to invade people's privacy. I just want to know if make sure. That's it. Because I don't. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. If you got any questions.
Oh no, you're good.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say, this is the first time we're hearing from you guys, and I can't imagine what you guys are going through. I can't even fathom it. For you guys, for people who are thinking that there's some kind of foul play involved, we just spoke to the biological mother. She says she had a conversation with you guys, and that she thinks there's some kind of foul play involved. That she thinks you guys did something.
And that's understandable.
What's your response to that?
That's understandable. I would think the same thing.
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly.
Okay, so first Jacqueline says that's understandable. Then Trezell jumps up and says, "Oh, I would think the same thing." And for me, this is sort of a mic drop, right? This is right here a big flashing neon sign that says guilty. We don't envision, especially within 24 hours, we're not envisioning what things may look like to someone else. In fact, remember what I said about the young man who they tried to say stole or killed his newborn baby and his wife, and turned out they were in Austin with her best friend. Remember what I said? He was questioned time and time again by the police, many hours. He was overheard through the doors where they were of the room where he was being questioned, screaming in anger at the cops, screaming in anger. He was heard to say, "Arrest me. I don't care, but go find them. Where are they? Why can't y'all find them?" Right? That's what you expect is anger. If anything, and the anger would come from not what someone thought of you, but anything that would be interfering with you finding your lost child. So this right here, this less than 24 hours later, standing there all cozy with your fingertips up in your armpits, This right here is so far outside of what normal would look like. Now, Don and Candace Wells were a little bit more sophisticated, and you don't know if it's, with intent, which I kind of doubt, or if it was just because they were so overwhelmed by the substances that they were using that it took them a week or so to kind of physically get themselves in control, right? But they were not really seen. Don was, but Candace was not seen until Summer had been missing for more than a week. But this right here is less than 24 hours later. No, Trezell, it wouldn't look that way. You wouldn't think the same thing. Now, one more question let me go on with this. Hold on.
The point. And if we can find our babies, then guess what? That's no. And that's all I want is to find our babies. That's it. And I talked to her this morning, and I really wanted to tell her that I am completely sorry because we were entrusted with her children.
Okay. Now, from this point on, and it actually is going on in the rest of the interview as well, but from this point on, it's me. It's about the parents. The boys are just sort of treated like, how like if somebody is shoplifting, there's a lot of discussion about shoplifting, how you did it, when you did it, why you did it. But most of the time, you don't even know what it was that they were trying to steal. And that's sort of what happens at the end of this interview, is that they put so much emphasis and so much attention on their impression management that you almost forget that there's 2 little boys missing. Now, incidentally, Barry Morphew in the arrest affidavit, and then during the preliminary hearing when the detective was being interviewed, was on the stand testifying, Barry Morphew said to the investigators, to the detectives, if I look at all of this, which was all the evidence, everything that they had collected, right? He says, if I had looked at all of this, I admit it makes me look guilty, but I did not hurt my wife. And I think all of this was engineered by God. And so I just have to accept what is happening. So in one fell swoop, he acknowledges, oh yeah, I do look guilty. And you almost hear, because I am, right? And then he adds an unreasonable doubt, which is, it's God's fault. God planned it. God wanted to set me up. Oh, no. That's not what he meant. He meant that God was punishing Suzanne for her infidelity. He's a real piece of work. Trust me. So now with Trezell and Jacqueline, you see parallels between Don and Candace Wells' statements in the week or so after Summer goes missing. You've seen parallels to Barry Morphew in the disappearance of his wife of 20 some odd years. And now let's listen to the rest of the Trezell and Jacqueline West story.
And they came to us, and they became our children, and we named them, and they are our children, and so we want them back. So please, if y'all could get back on what you guys are doing, we should be able to get a hold of somebody, but they took all of our tech, so they wanted to, I guess, just rule us out, which makes sense. That's part of the investigation. So that's
All right, let's pop over to Don and Candace Wells. I need you to put a 1 if you can hear the interview. So that's what it is. When I switch over to a new screen using the share tab, I lose the audio. Okay, I'm glad we figured that out. Okay, so this is really cumbersome. My husband got me some kind. I need to get it set up because then I can do this without having to take so many steps to share something. So, all right. So again, Trezell is being very helpful, understanding, apologizing. I just want you to think good of me is basically what he's saying.
That's pretty much it.
Have you guys, you talked to the police all last night?
Yes.
What, so you guys willfully gave them your
Everything.
technology,
Yes.
the car?
Yes.
Did they get it? How did they get a search warrant? Did you
I
guys?
Oh, no
I don't see
idea.
why they got one, but they got one. We
Yeah,
would
they
have let them
didn't
take
need one,
anything.
but
We would have let them take everything. We let them come in and search with us. We asked them to come do that.
What did they take?
Just tech.
Oh, yeah. We told them, come in, take everything. You don't need a warrant, nothing. You just come on in and just whatever you want. We are here to be helpful, to help you. Really? Where's your panic? Where is your unbelievable abject fear of 2 missing babies? Where is it? So far, all you've been worried about is impression management, showing everyone how in control, logical, reasonable, friendly, great manners. And meanwhile, you should be acting like a rabid dog who's trying to find their missing babies.
And that's it. Like our phones.
From the house that day?
Oh, well, I guess, should I answer that? Or?
Answer it to us, yeah.
Okay. So, into the, okay, I guess, I don't even know.
I see. Yeah, we seriously felt like we needed to be out here. We did. Again, we were told the best are out here looking already. Just to stay put. They have more questions. There was literally a cop with us the whole time in
And
there.
he had sitting down. We would ask him to go help. They had to sit
He
down.
said nope.
He said, no, we got the best out there.
So
We
it's
need you
not.
guys here in case we have more questions.
I don't want you guys thinking we
don't.
didn't try. We actually
We
looked
tried.
before we called
We
the police.
yes.
Now, what they didn't know is that a neighbor actually recorded what they were doing before they called the cops, and they could see the movements all the way until the cops actually arrived. It doesn't match their story.
And I imagine the mind-boggling part is the search for information. What happened? Where are they?
Yes.
Et cetera, et cetera.
And we're, yeah.
And just so we are able to present the information correctly, at what time did you guys notice your kids went missing, and at what time were they reported missing to the police?
It's about, I believe, I think it was about 4:30, going on 5. It was getting dark, like I said.
5-ish.
5-ish. That's about it.
Now, does it get dark at 5 in California? Or, I mean, if you're in Alaska, yeah, both kids missing. But if it gets, aren't they in Bakersfield? It would not get dark at 5 o'clock. Is that right or wrong? Oh, he does. Absolutely, Donna. No. Yes. The way that he's holding his arms and standing, exactly the whole Chris Watts demeanor. Yeah. The way they're looking around, Diamond Paw, is called hypervigilance. When people are really, really anxious, any little unexpected sound, they'll jerk and look because they're scared. Remember when Chris Watts, when the cops called in on his radio, Chris Watts jerked his head around and looked because he thought they were calling to get him arrested, right? So it's hypervigilance. It's a survival skill. and it's not anything that you can control if you feel like you're in danger. So there again, why would these people feel in danger? You know, so Yvette says Bakersfield, it would get dark at 5. Huh. I thought Bakersfield was too far south for it to get 44:30 is sundown around Christmas, and then it starts to turn around. Oh, okay. I thought Bakersfield was too far south for it to get dark that early. But anyway, they did say that it was right at dark. I mean, they were fairly consistent in that statement.
That's when everything played out.
And then when did you guys call the police to report them missing?
After we searched
Yeah.
a little bit around here, it was dark, so we definitely we got worried.
Would you say it was maybe within an hour, a couple hours?
No, it was within minutes of us getting finished with our search.
Okay.
It was within minutes.
The search was minutes.
What do you guys want people at home to understand about this situation? For them, you know, even speaking about what you guys are feeling is difficult. What do you want them at home to understand about this whole situation?
We're going through it. It's difficult. I mean, everybody's making their own
Okay. She said, we're going through it. It's difficult. That's what he wants to know. Or that's what he's asking, you know, what's this like? Oh, we're going through it. You know, we are getting mistreated. People are saying stuff about us. Wait a minute. You 2 babies are somewhere, maybe out in the desert, lost, maybe dropped down in a hole somewhere. Maybe some sicko took them. What do you mean? Oh, they're saying bad things about us. Everybody's got an opinion and they think it looks bad for. Where is your awareness that there are 2 children that are not where they're supposed to be?
You know, their own conclusions. They don't know anything. We're not sure like everything. We're not sure. We said what we knew, and if anybody has seen them or anything, please call the police department.
Would you be willing to provide pictures, or do you have any?
I have older pictures. All my newest were on my phone.
Now, that was a very strange statement. Now, it didn't seem strange then, but now it's strange because the photographs that the cops had that were put up on the missing posters, they were from a year earlier. And if it's true what she's saying, that the cops took their phone, then why didn't the cops get newer photographs off of her telephone? Maybe because there were no pictures on it. Maybe those kids were just a meal ticket. Maybe those kids were just a way to get that money from the state of California, and they wanted the kids to just be out of sight and out of mind. They didn't want to deal with them. They didn't want to hear them. They didn't want to be parents to them. They just kept them away in a room and basically put the fear of God into them and said, don't bug us.
Phone?
Okay.
A lot of people are speaking of this as, you know, after the math, past tense. I want to talk about your kids in present tense. What kind of boys are these? Tell us about the boys.
Very playful, very rambunctious, and they do love to wrestle. They do love to kind of get rough with each other.
Kids.
They're kids. Of course, they would love to go out, but so during the pandemic, we weren't trying to go, you know, out here. And so we stayed inside.
And they were there for 3 months, and the neighbors said, we never saw the boys.
Did you guys ever go out and search?
Yes, we did. We searched before we called the cops.
That's
That's what we were saying.
What time did they come up missing?
They came missing right before it got dark. And then we called. I searched that property. I even drove around this neighborhood right here. I even talked to a gentleman on that side, one of those streets over there. I said, "Did you see some little black kids?"
You go that way looking for them?
That's the way I was gonna come. But when I came back home, I decided to call the cops because it was dark. They couldn't have got away that fast.
And why did it take two people to go in the house and leave two kids out here by themselves. It should have been one parent going in and one.
Now, the people that you hear questioning Jacqueline and Trezell, those are the biological family members of Orrin and Orsin. I want to invite you to focus your attention and listen to how demanding they're being, angry, questioning. They're in fight or flight. They want their babies back. And they haven't had those kids living with them in more than a year or more, right? But that's their kids. And you're about to see what parents of missing kids really look like when they want to know where are our kids.
One parent right here watching the child, not two parents going in the house
Oh,
and
you-
leaving
so-
two little kids out here by themselves for 10 minutes.
No, they were in the backyard, and the
So how
back
did
gate
they
was
get
open.
out the backyard?
And the back gate was open, and I was getting wood
So
from
you
this
guys
lot
was
here.
being unresponsible and left the gate open, left some little kids outside with the gate open.
All right. Sorry, you guys were talking about your boys who you're, I understand. For a mother's intuition, I know you were saying, and we'll get your names after this, but you were saying how you feel like they're in this area. Do you feel the same way? And what is the intuition? What is the sense you get? What do you think happened to your boys? Do you think someone took them? Do you think they're lost? Do you think?
Yeah,
there may-
definitely. I definitely know they're not walking around. They're not that kind. They do not just roam around. You know, these patches. They definitely, I think definitely would have been. Picked up or something.
That was my assumption.
Have they ever taken off of the
No.
yard before?
No,
Nope.
They've never taken off.
no.
You guys are new to Cal City, right?
Yep.
How long have you guys been living here?
It's 3 months.
It's crazy because y'all say y'all came out looking for the kids and y'all got neighbors that say y'all ain't even came out looking for no kids.
The neighbors weren't out here.
We were looking.
We were looking.
I'm just saying, bro, it's crazy, bro. I got kids of my own.
Where do
I
you
understand.
live?
Them little boys that y'all raising, them is my
I
biological
understand.
family.
I understand, you,
I
brother.
don't leave kids
Oh, no,
outside.
And
bro.
I understand.
I have
3
9
and 4
kids.
year olds.
I have 9 kids.
But they was
There's
outside in
no
the backyard
way
and I was
I'm
watching.
gonna leave my kids unattended.
3
Not
and
even
4 year
for
olds.
a minute.
Like you sit here.
I get-
like,
we
not
get
a
that,
place
we
in
get
your
it.
heart, bro.
They were in the
We
backyard.
feel
You
it.
don't even look like you worried,
But
bro.
you said the
I've-
gate,
I've
but
been-
why would
I've been
okay,
going
y'all know
through it
y'all
all
finna,
the
y'all
few
know y'all
days.
finna go inside the house, right? Y'all are foster parents, right?
No.
No, we're
well, y'all
adopted
adopted
parents.
them,
Yeah,
right?
they are
Okay,
children.
shut the gate. Go in the house. Why did it take both of y'all to go in the house and leave them outside by themselves?
I
That's
understand
right.
that.
Y'all know
Why
the
haven't
gate
you-
was
why
open.
haven't y'all been out with the people around this neighborhood looking with the kids?
We,
Because
oh
we told,
goodness.
we already told
already
on
said
camera.
that.
We
I
already
see
told on
y'all
camera.
on no cameras last night. I
No.
didn't even see y'all out here praying with them people. Them people was supposed to take care of my nephew. Not this, not supposed to happen.
I understand.
Y'all was supposed to take care of my nephew.
I understand.
You act-
If anybody's watching at home who knows anything, or if
That is what a real parent of a truly missing child, that's what you see. You see fighting, you see protecting their little ones. And when they don't know where their little ones are, they get really aggressive and angry, right? Remember what I said. The father in Austin that got accused of hurting his newborn baby and his wife, he was overheard in the police station screaming at or in the sheriff's department, screaming at the cops saying, arrest me, but for God's sake, get out there and find them. I don't know what happened to them. Why are you doing this? Go find my family. He was furious. And people said, oh, he's guilty. He's scared. That's why he's acting that way. No, he that is protective. Parents that have missing kids are rabid in their anger. They are hysterical. They are driven machines. The amount of energy that their bodies create to, like I said, they go to the places the child would have known or the person would have known. They go back multiple times to the places the child or the missing person should have been. And then they reach this third step where they go and they look in the most ridiculous, unusual places, because in their mind, they cannot wrap around this idea that the kid is out of their reach. When they have that realization that the child's out of their reach, it's hell on earth. It is hell for a parent that loves their child or the person that's missing. So you hear that the end of the two boys, so much fury and anger. That's what you expect to see. So, all right. Interesting though, right? It's so interesting. Yeah. I don't talk much. I don't say his name much. He's really shy in real life. He doesn't really like a lot of attention, but anyway, so it's interesting to see the parallels in how these people talk, that seem all to be in these similar situations. Even Barry Morphew, it's not a missing child, it's a missing wife. But isn't it interesting that he seems to be reading the same playbook as Don and Candace Wells and as Trezell and Jacquie West? Interesting, right? All right, so finally we got an arrest. When tomorrow, the 3rd, they'll be in court, and we'll get a little, some little snippets. I think California has been much more friendly to cameras in the courtroom, but Colorado, man, they hate cameras in the courtroom. They do. So I also, it did not escape my awareness that they did another search for Summer Wells, and that the rumor on the streets of YouTube is that Candace was freaked out. Candace is shook because of the new search. Now, what does that mean? Her explanation for why she was nervous and shook was because it's her, this is quote, it's her child and she doesn't know what's going on. They don't tell her. And if that is the case, then I would sort of think maybe, Candace, that suggests that you're still a person of interest, right? You also can't forget that Don Wells is now sitting in jail, and he's been there long enough not to have access to any alcohol. And right about now, he would be feeling really, really bad if he was, in fact, physically addicted to alcohol. I mean, he would be currently getting medical care if that's the case. So does this mean that Don may be trying to make a deal? Trust me, withdrawal from alcohol is a very powerful motivator. If he thinks that talking might get him out even for an hour, just enough to get some more alcohol in his body, he would do it without giving much thought to, well, what am I going to do when they put me back in? Because all his brain can think about right now is, I need some relief from these, this physiological illness. All right. So there's a lot going on. These 3 cases really are the center of my attention behind what's happening in Ukraine. I'm heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken. And I have moments that Putin is making me very nervous. So this, the drama that goes on YouTube, and the old women or woman that screams and yells about how people mistreat her and such, are Are you having a hard time looking for something of interest, or is the only thing that interests you is playing the role of victim? Because there's an awful lot going on in the world that is absolutely pertinent to what we do as content creators in true crime. There's a lot going on. There's even another potential person of interest in the Delphi case. So there's an awful lot going on, not to be caught up in the petty, imaginary, delusional world of trauma. You know what I mean? All right. Okay. I'll be back later, and I hope you guys are all, doing great. Oh, today is Wednesday. I think I said Wednesday when I should have said Thursday, March the 3rd. Trezell and Jacquie will be in court. So I tell you, the one case I didn't look up was for anything new on Letitia. I don't know if there's anything new that's come up with her. She's old. We're going to have to come up with a good nickname for her. She's old crazy. That's what comes to my mind when I look at pictures of her. She looks like someone who may be seeing messages in her peanut butter. You know what I mean? So, all right. Husband pulled extra money out of the bank. Teller told him that many people are doing the same. Absolutely, Bebop. I saw Diamond Paw. Hey, Diamond Paw. I hope you are doing well, my friend. Hope you're doing okay. No, you did not lose a day, Holy Cats, but welcome. Everybody, Francis says, have a wonderful and blessed day. It's good to see you, Francis. I'm not sure, you may or may not be the Francis Dean that I know in real life, but if you are, then hello, how are you? Long time no see. All right. Okay, so Diamond Paw is doing well. We were talking about you the other night. We were wondering if y'all had lost your internet yet. So, all right, everybody, keep an eye on Ukraine and see. Oh, look, I guess it is Francis. Very cool. All right. So, okay, everybody, have a great afternoon, and we'll see what they do tomorrow, if they're going to give them bail of any kind. And I guess we'll talk more tomorrow. Okay. Y'all have a great day, and keep your eyes on Ukraine. Ukraine is far more important than any of the silly, foolish drama stuff that happens here. Okay. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.